everyone, welcome to Homeschool. We are with the chapter Diversity in Living Organisms, and we have started with Vertebrata, the subphylum Vertebrata. Under that, in the previous video, we have already discussed about the class Pisces and then the class Amphibia. Now, in this video, we are talking about the next class under Vertebrata, that is Reptilia. Clear? So all sorts of reptiles come under this particular class. So the moment I say reptiles, can you able to think of certain examples? Yes? So what are called as reptiles? You know, the so-called snakes, all varieties of snakes, crocodiles, right? Turtles, and then lizards. You know, there are many varieties. So these are the famous reptiles that we see in a day-to-day life, right? So these reptiles have a general characteristics. So can you able to think of the general characteristics of these reptiles? So the first thing that comes to our mind, the first general characteristics as they have scales. Yes or no? The body have scales. So just like fishes have actually a bigger scales, you know, but these guys have a smaller scales, right? But they do have scales on a skin, right? So this is one general characteristic of reptiles. And the second most important point is even these animals are cold-blooded animals. So you all know the meaning of cold-blooded animals, right? Their body temperature is not constant, is not same in all environments. Okay, so they adjust their body temperature according to the environment. So such a property is called cold-blooded property, right? And those organisms are cold-blooded animals or organisms. And the next and important point is even these animals have three-chambered heart. They have three-chambered heart, except crocodile. You know, crocodile is the only reptile that has four-chambered heart, just like humans. Okay, so the heart is divided into four chambers, guys. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this, heart is divided into four chambers. But rest of the reptiles have three-chambered heart. Okay. So the next point is, you know, they do not lay eggs in water. Eggs in water. You know, the very important point that you can also remember is they are the first terrestrial animals under the kingdom Animaliae. Yes or no? See, fishes live in water. Amphibians live both in water and land. But these reptiles are the first type of animals that can live on terrestrial land, you know, terrestrial habitat. So that's why we say the first terrestrial animals that have been evolved is reptiles. Clear? Fine. So they do not lay eggs in water. They no need water to lay the eggs. Whereas for the amphibians, they always lay their eggs in water. Fine. Then where do they lay eggs? Definitely they lay eggs on land, but they lay eggs in a thick protective covering. Remember this point. They lay eggs in thick protective covering. Okay, so the eggs are protected with a thick covering. So this is what you will observe in case of the class Reptilia. So these are the most important general characteristics of Reptilia. Clear? So the very important point is they have scales. First terrestrial animals that have been evolved, and they lay eggs in a protective covering. And even these guys are three-chambered heart. They have three-chambered heart except crocodile, and they are cold-blooded animals. Clear? So this is all about the class Reptilia, and now we will discuss about the class Aves. Aves is a Latin word for birds. So aves are nothing but birds here. Okay. So in Latin language, birds are called with aves. Fine. See, we all know the moment we hear about the birds, what are the major characteristics that you see in its body? It has feathers, it has wings, right? It has a long beak, right? So let us speak about these general characteristics. So the very first characteristic is, birds have so-called feathers. So what is the use of feathers here? Feathers are used for insulation. So what do you mean by insulation? Feathers help for a bird to keep the body warm. Okay, it protects the body. So what do you mean by insulation here? So always keeps the body warm. Okay, so it's a kind of protection. It also gives protection to a body. So that is the major use of feathers. You know what? In reptiles, the body has scales. Even in the fishes, the body has scales. Here the scales itself are modified into feathers. So what do you mean by feathers, guys? Feathers are nothing but modified scales. Actually, body has scales. Those scales only have converted. They have changed into feathers. So what are feathers here? Feathers are modified scales. Modified scales. Okay, so the scales present on the body itself is modified into feathers. Actually, in the bird body, where do you observe scales? Even if all the scales are modified into feathers, there are certain scales which have not modified into feathers. So where are these scales present? They are present in the hind limbs. Right? So bird sits with the help of hind limbs, like we call it as legs of a bird. If you see the legs, you have certain scales, right? So these scales are as it is present only in one part of a bird, that is in hind limb, back limbs. Okay, that is legs of a bird. Fine. And the next point is, the forelimbs, the front limbs are modified into wings. Okay, so you have one important part in a bird body, that is wings. So wings are nothing but the forelimbs only. In the reptiles, you have a forelimb and the hind limb. With the help of that, it can climb or crawl, right? Even in the amphibian, if you see a frog, if I have drawn a body of a frog, isn't it? Say this is one limb, this is another limb, and if this is a body, like this, these are called forelimbs in a frog. These are called hind limbs. Right? So with the help of these limbs, a frog can climb, hop, it can crawl and everything. Say in bird also, like you have forelimbs as well as hind limbs. Hind limbs are helpful to sit, okay, on a branches or wherever it is. But the forelimbs are modified into wings. Clear? So forelimbs itself are converted. They have changed into a different structure called wings. So what is the use of wings here? Wings are used for flying. Used for flight. Flight in the sense what, guys? Flying, isn't it? So these are the 2 points you have to remember carefully. So how are the feathers formed? They are formed from scales only. And how are the wings formed? They have formed from forelimbs itself. Clear? Fine. And the next point is they are warm-blooded animals. Warm-blooded animals. So just opposite to cold-blooded. Warm-blooded in the sense what? Their body temperature remains constant. Body temperature remains constant or same all the time. All the time. Okay, whatever may be the environmental condition, if the climate hot or cold, whatever. So in all climatic conditions, in all environmental conditions, the body temperature remains same. It will not change according to the temperature. Okay, that you have seen it in a cold-blooded animals, right? According to the environmental conditions, the body temperature keeps on changes. But in case of birds, the body temperature remains same throughout its life. Okay, whatever may be the environmental conditions or situations, the body temperature remains constant. So that property is called as warm-blooded animals. Clear? Fine. So the next one is even birds lay eggs. Lay eggs. So that property we will call it as oviparous. Yes or no? So if any organism that lays eggs, then it is called as oviparous. And here the respiration is through lungs. Respiration is through lungs. So here the gills are absent. So the respiration is through lungs only. Lungs are fully developed, right? And they have 4-chambered heart. They have 4-chambered heart, just like mammals, just like humans. These birds have 4-chambered heart. Clear? So these are the major characteristics of the bird. Very important characteristic is having feathers, having wings, warm-blooded animals, and they respire through lungs, and they have 4-chambered heart, right? So this is all about aves, and now we will go for the last class of vertebrata, that is Mammalia. Coming to the last class under vertebrata, that is Mammalia. Say all mammals, that is all animals like cats, dogs, elephants, tigers, humans, these animals come under a class called Mammalia. So let us try to list out the basic characteristics of mammals. So the very important characteristic here is they are warm-blooded animals. Warm-blooded animals. Okay, that means their body temperature is always constant. Whatever may be the environmental conditions, in every climatic situations, cold, hot or whatever, the body temperature remains same. Clear? So such a property is warm-blooded nature. So warm-blooded animals come under Mammalia. And the next point is they have 4-chambered heart. 4-chambered heart. Okay. And the respiration is through lungs. Well-developed lungs is through lungs. Yeah? Fine. So all these are very much similar to birds, isn't it? And now certain characters which are different, and these characters are there only for the mammals. That is, body has hair. Yes or no? Hairy body. You take humans or you take any animal, dog, cat or whatever, hair is covered on a body, right? So what is the purpose of this air here? Air gives insulation. That means it keeps the body warm and it actually protects the body, isn't it? So the body has hair, And also, the skin has oil glands and sweat glands. So there are certain oil and sweat glands also on a skin. Yes or no? So they secrete a certain liquids or oil which keeps the skin moist all the time, right? So if that oil glands or sweat glands were not there, then our skin would have become very, very dry. So why the skin is not becoming dry is because of the presence of these oil or sweat glands, right? So skin has hair and also certain glands like oil and sweat glands. So this is one important feature for the class Mammaliae. And the next one is they have mammary glands. They have mammary glands. So mammary glands are the one which produces milk. Okay, so what is the purpose of mammary glands? Mammary glands produces milk. So this milk is used for the nourishment of younger ones. Okay, so the reproduction results into the formation of younger ones. Mammals do not lay eggs; they give birth to a younger ones. So to give nourishment to the younger one, they produce milk from mammary glands, right? So this milk actually nourishes the younger ones. Clear? Fine. And as I already told you, mammals give birth to younger ones, isn't it? Mammals do not lay eggs, they give birth to younger ones. And this particular property is called as viviparous. So viviparous in the sense what? Giving birth to younger ones. Oviparous in the sense, laying eggs. But there are certain mammals. For example, platypus. And echidna. So these mammals lay eggs. Most of the mammals give birth to younger ones, except certain mammals like platypus. They have a capacity to lay the eggs. They do not give birth to a younger one, right? And certain mammals like kangaroos. So you must have heard the kangaroos and you have seen the kangaroos also, right? So kangaroos are found in Australia. So these kangaroos give birth to very poorly developed younger one. Okay, so they give birth to younger one, no doubt, but the younger one would be very, very weak and it is underdeveloped. Say the humans also give birth to a younger one, but the babies of the humans are well developed. Say they have well developed lungs, well developed kidneys, a well developed heart, and everything would be there. But in case of kangaroos, the younger one is very poorly nourished, like it is underdeveloped, right? So what I'm going to write here is kangaroos give birth to poorly developed babies. Okay, fine. So such poorly developed babies of kangaroos need more protection and more nourishment, right? So these are the main points that have to be remembered about the mammals, right? And a very important point is here the exoskeleton, that is the outside of the body is made up of the skin has hair and also certain glands that actually protects the body and it gives a kind of insulation to the body. That means it keeps the body warm and safe. And the next important point is having mammary glands. Mammary glands are the one which produces milk, and that milk is used for nourishing the younger ones or babies, right, after reproduction. And there are certain mammals which do not give birth but lay eggs. What examples? Platypus and ecdina. Clear? So that's all about the class mammals. So we finished all the 5 classes under vertebrata. So this completes our kingdom Animaliae, and also the kingdom Plantae we studied in detail. And in the next class, I am dealing with the last topic of the chapter, that is nomenclature, right? So with that, the chapter is going to be completed. Keep revising the concepts. See you in the next class, and subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in the easiest way and in a detailed way. Thank you so much.